Hello everyone, welcome back to X-Plane once again. My name is jfavignano, and today we're looking at the IXEG 737-300 Classic. This is not a 700, don't be fooled by the winglets there on the wing. This is the 300 series. This airplane has been a long time coming. Everybody's been really excited for it. It is quite expensive. It's $75, so it's up there on the range of how much money you want to pay for add-on. I don't know. To me, I was kind of skeptical, but this is absolutely my favorite airplane in X-Plane as of now. It's phenomenal, and you'll see why. Is it worth $75? I can't answer that one 100% for you. I think that it is because I get the enjoyment I do out of it, and I use it the way I do. For you, your mileage may vary. I don't know, but just keep that in mind. It's a $75 airplane, so it's very expensive, but it is fantastic. We're here on the ramp. We're here at the E-Gate, E20, at the Terminal 2 of St. Louis, and we're doing service to Chicago Midway Airport. It's going to be interesting today because Midway is showing some really low ceilings. We're definitely going to have to shoot an ILS into that, and it's going to be hairy. I know that getting in there, unless the ceilings start to rise, but right now they're only a few hundred feet off the ground. With that said, let's head up to the cockpit. I'll show you around. Welcome aboard the 737-300, a fantastic airplane. Let's just look around. We've got our good old FMC here. Very nice texturing. I mean, down to the nice wool seat cover there. That is very prevalent in these airplanes. As well, just look at, like, you know, the scratches and the worn use of the airplane. Very nice texturing. Modeling is absolutely spot on. Fantastic. The sounds, wait till you hear these things. It is the best I've ever heard in any flight sim as far as the sounds go. They have nailed it 100%. With that said, we also have some really neat features of this airplane. With the night lighting in this is so good. Here's the panel lights. You can see we can turn those up and down. Background, watch the flicker of this fluorescent light. Watch this. It's the little subtle things like that. That's really, really cool. I'll turn that off. And then we have the AFDS floodlight, which is up here for MCP panel. And you can really get a nice glow however you want to, you know, if you're in a storm or whatnot. Very cool stuff. It also has really neat features like this. Like if we change our range or we change what the EHSI is doing, like if we go to the VOR ILS, at the bottom left, we have those little things. It shows a preview window of what is changing. And once you keep it on here, say we'll go to plan mode and we move over here, it cross dissolves away. Very, very sleek stuff. Same thing for auto throttles. I'll show you that later. When we have the auto throttles armed and they move, when I move my physical throttle quadrant, it will pop up a thing over here and show us where our physical throttles are relative to the auto throttle. Very cool stuff. And let's go over a few things with this airplane real fast before we get into everything. We're not going to be using checklists today. This is a first look at this airplane with you guys. We're just going to be kind of loosely flying it up to Midway, doing our thing, but we're not going to worry about procedures 100% today. We're just going to have fun. How about that? Preferences here, you pop those open. This one I have disabled. It's called Enable Camera Shaking. I turn that off because it makes the interior shake when you're taxiing and when you're taking off and stuff, which seems like a cool, aesthetic, pleasing thing, but it's really not. To me, it was very jarring, and it was kind of not my cup of tea, so I turned it off. Aircraft has winglets. Now, we know that they're 300 series. They've been putting winglets on these airplanes, especially Southwest. They call them the 300Ws, and that turns those on. The rain and ice on winds, the rain effects are fantastic. We're going to keep those on. Draw vortices. I have that. Let's turn that on. I have it turned off now, but we'll turn it on today. What is use steam gauges, you may be asking? So you'll notice here on the engine panel, we have like these nice digital readouts. Very common on the 300s, but some of the older 300s don't have those. They have this cluster. We click that and look at that. Comes to life. Got the hydraulic quantity over here, oil quantity gauges, and all that good stuff. Gives it a nice retro look. There's the takeoff settings there. We are going to go with the non-steam gauge version today. How about that? You can change your joystick stuff. You can change your sounds. You can do some advanced stuff here. I have, kilograms turned off. I use pounds. and you can turn on debug mode, which is on right now, but I don't do anything with that. With that said, we have pre-flight. Pre-flight is your startup options. This is really, really cool. You can be at the gate and hit turnaround, and your airplane's fired up, ready to go, just like it would be if a mechanic came on board and got the airplane ready for you, and you just stepped on it. You can always do cold and dark. We're not doing that today. We're not using checklists, so we're not worried about that. And you can even do a ready to fly, so everything's ready to go. You just take off and go. You can do a quick fuel planner, which we're not worried about because we're using a sim brief today. Same stuff with the aircraft weights and all that stuff. You can do a typical flight, or you can set a full, load of passengers and stuff. And your zero fuel weights there. You can hit apply settings. So I want to say really fast that whenever you do what we call turning around, like this is in right now, if you do a flight and you land and you pull into your gate, you can't necessarily just put new passengers on, new fuel, and take off like you could in the real world. Instead, you're going to have to reload this airplane. If you don't do that, you're going to break your VNAV, and I'm going to tell you that right now before people start getting upset. It's happened to me before because I was like, oh, I'm having so much fun in this plane, I just want to keep flying it. So with that said, that's the pre-flight menu there. Then we have ground services. This is what we're going to be doing. You can connect a GPU. You can connect a ground air supply unit. So we call those air carts, or huffers as they were known on the ramp when I worked on the ramp. And you can open the cargo doors here. I haven't had any luck with that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't get any of the doors to open. Have not been able to do that at all. So refueling wise, let's look at this information because this is what we care about today. I'm gonna go ahead and generate my OFP on my sim brief over there. So you probably see a little flicker here on the other screen because I'm using the other monitor. Not a huge deal. We're gonna get out of here soon. Don't worry. I know a lot of you guys like to just see the airplane get up and go. But pre-flight and doing light this is very light pre-flighting. It's fun because people that are learning this airplane will learn a little bit about the FMC while we're doing this. So I'm thinking we might run into an issue with the nav data, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, so I'm looking at my weights that are given to me on SimBrief, and they're saying that our fuel today is going to be 15.4. Actually, we're almost right there. So 15.4, that's a flicker. Don't worry about that. That's just because I moved over to the other monitor. So 15.4, you can do a realistic load of fuel, and it will fill your tanks realistically. We're gonna do an instant today, so just instant. There it is, 7690 in each wing. You have a pushback module here. We'll do that later. It's even animated. It's beautiful. Load sheet. Here we go. ZFW is a zero fuel weight. That's what we want from them. They're saying 94.9. Now here's where I run into some discrepancies, and I'll tell you in a minute. We'll put it at 94.9. 9, there it is. Gross weight's gonna be 110.3. So that's what they're giving us with the elevator trim units, 3.6 units there. So that's all well and dandy. So first things first, here on the perf init page of our FMC, they want the gross weight and the cruise CG. So let's look at our gross weight here. Tells us down here 110.3. So I'll do that, 110.3, and we'll give them that information. They're happy with it. Zero fuel weight of 103.3. If we look at our zero fuel weight, it's supposed to be 94.9. So I'm not sure why these two don't talk to each other. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. In plan and fuel, I'm learning this FMC with you guys. So I'm just gonna put 15.4 because it's planned. I mean, that gives us, an hour of extra fuel and all that, which is gonna be 2,000 pounds of reserves. Cost index, we're gonna go with 88. I'm not sure what Southwest flies with, but that's what we're gonna go with. They want us up at flight level 310. We're not going to make that. No way. So we're going to go flight level 270. That's what the current guys are using. Now, I use FS Global Real World Weather. So like FS Global Real Weather here. And we're looking at the upper air here. 27,000 feet is going to give us winds at 259 at 60, okay? So 259 at 60. Let's tell the FMC that. 259 at 60. And remember, those flashes you're seeing on the screen is just me jumping from screen to screen. Not a big deal. So we have that information in there. Transitional altitude, transition altitude is going to be 18,000 feet. Happy with that. We're pretty light, so we will do an 18.5 derate. No, let's just stick with the 20 K derated takeoff, which would be your N1 limit right there. You can see it's already pre-programmed right there. And that's just to do everything else. Accidentally clicked that. I didn't mean to. We'll go to the takeoff page. Here we go. We're going to use flaps 5 today. and we can get our V speeds right now. But now see here what I'm telling you about? Elevator trim saying 3.6 units, but yet it's telling us the CG's 10.1, 4.8. Now, in the past, I've always just said, hey, I'll just use what ground services says, but now I've just kind of learned to use what the airplane's telling us. So let's use 4.8 trim units. It's almost there. Pull it back. That's about 4.8 right there. Great trim sounds too. Let's touch these little guys. 1, 2, and 3. That's our V speeds. 134, 136 VR, 145 for V2. So V2 plus 10, we're gonna put in our mock or IS little window there. So it's gonna be 155. Let's go ahead and throw that in there. And 55. There we go. That is set. Course and headings, and we go 122. I'm not sure. Let's look at the winds here in a minute in St. Louis. I'm pretty sure they're out of the north, so we'll be taking off our runway 30 left. I'm gonna move over here to the other monitor and look at that information actually, because this is all part of that pre-flight part. Yeah, 070 at 8, 10 statute miles of visibility, scattered clouds, 2,800 feet, broken at 13,000, overcast at 20,000, altimeter 3004. So I'm gonna put this guy away. We don't need that little window open anymore. 3004 on the altimeter. Let's bring that up. And there's 3004 set. And we'll be taking off on 300. So I'm just going to put it on 300, even though we're going to be changing it in a minute. But there we go. Love that. Let's turn our flight directors on. We'll put them on both sides. Remember, we're going to need both autopilots to be talking to each other today, or both sides of flight directors to do a possible auto land. Right now, you know, the overcast is at 250 feet, and it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure how we're going to get in there, but we're going to definitely try. I think we can do it. I believe we can. So 28,000 is what I had in there, but I'm going to bring it down to our initial altitude to 5,000 feet today. So let's do that. One thing is, whenever you're dragging this down, you have to stop and then re-click it to bring it back up. Otherwise, it just only goes one way. We'll hit vertical speed, and we're going to do up about 2,200. Like I said, you know, you have to release the little wheel and then move it again. This is just a backup in case we have problems with VNAV and LNAV, which you never know, you might run into that. So we want to make sure that's all set. One really cool thing I want to show you before we go is this little map light up here. Now, this is most of the Fly JSim stuff has this, but you can see you can move this independent little light around, which is really neat. At night, you know, if you're flying in thunderstorms and you just want to have a little bit of light where you want it. So that's really cool. We have the position light on. Center fuel tanks are off. Obviously, we have no fuel in there. We don't want to burn those pumps up. Let's just do a real quick rundown here. That's all good. This looks good. The APU gen is on right now. APU is reading with amps, and we have the EGT right there. Low oil pressure is obviously going to be there because we don't have the engines running. Let's do our window heat. Click those guys. There we go. And turn our pitot heats on since we're getting ready to get out of here. Wing anti-ice. Everything looks happy. We're just right now, if we just pull these up, we're going to get some sounds there you're going to hear. We're going to turn these engine bleeds off and just leave the APU and isolation on. So now the passengers that are getting on board the airplane have AC running to them. Electrics are good. They're obviously not working yet because we're not in the air, so it's not a big deal. Engines are on both, and we're just going to let everybody get their stuff while we continue our pre-flight. So, with that said, we have everything done on the airplane side of things. All we need to do now is our departure and arrival out of St. Louis. And I think I'm going to have issues with this. Well, let's do our route page first. I'm sorry. We'll do KSTL. We're going to Chicago Midway today. DW. There she goes. We're going to do Southwest. I'm doing 7-Eleven because it's my birthday. It's not my birthday today, but 7-Eleven is my birthday, so that's why I use it. That's good. Now we go to the route page. Or I'm sorry, we go to the legs page, and we have nothing in there yet. So we go to the departure and arrival, okay? So now it knows these areas where we're at. So departure out of St. Louis. They want us to do the NATCA 3, I believe is what it's called. There, we'll be doing the NATCA 2, but it's NATCA 3 now. I'm using an older version. Now, I've updated my Navigraph, but I haven't been able to do it. I think I have to do it manually on this airplane. But we're doing the NATCA 2 with a spinner transition. That's Springfield, Illinois. Runway 30 left for takeoff. There we go. And you can see it's starting to put the little guy in there. So we're going to be RNAV to Walter. And if we go to if we went to the legs page, we could activate that. But instead, we're going to go to the arrival, and we're going to go to Midway. And they want us to do the ND3 arrival, which would be ND4 now, actually, with a transition of, I believe it's spinner. So I'm not worried about that. We're not going to have a transition outside of that. Yeah, see, there's Poogie there and stuff like that. And the winds in Chicago, as of right now, are 040 at 9er. So runway 4 is pretty much going to be the ones we're going to be doing. So not RNAV. I do want to shoot ILS into one of the runways here. It looks like we have to do an RNAV, is what it's looking like to me. ILS 4 right. That's what we want right there because of the conditions up there. Transition, we'll worry about that. We'll put it on Boehner now, and we'll make sure that that's all good to go. Questionable nav data. Yeah, tell me about it. We'll check that in a minute. So we're just selecting these guys. If we go to the legs page, we can activate that and execute it. Once we do that, we just threw it into the computer, and we can start our fun part of making sure it looks right. So let's slide that over to plan mode, and we have a nice view of everything here. We're going to be taking off a 30 left, direct to Walter, and then Annie, and then we go to Natka. So let's do the step. Do the step. Go through this. There's Annie. There's Natka. Spinner. Here's our route disco. So all we got to do here is just click ND, and then pop it up there real fast. And you're going to notice that we have that dotted line now, and we'll hit execute and make it magenta. There we go. ND and Stickney there. And then we have alky like alcoholic. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can actually see a little bit better and step through that. Alky, there's Boehner, Kadon, Sitgo, and then runway 4 right. If we have a miss, you know, we'll obviously do an intercept and then go out to our hold, or we'll come back around and shoot another ILS in if we have to. But I'm pretty happy with that. It looks pretty legit to me. So we're happy with that. Let's go init ref N1 takeoff page is where you want to be set. And we're all good with all of that. We're pretty much ready to get out of here. All right, let's get this thing fired up. What we're going to do here is going to throw on the anti-collision lights. We are going to let ground know we're ready to be pushed. We're going to do a straight push back, so we're just going to pull the parking brake here so they're ready to go to there. We'll go to ground services, and we'll say straight back on the push. And it says in progress. Fantastic. They're going to start pushing us back from our gate right now. There we go. And now we can just go ahead and turn our packs off for engine start. And we'll be ready to go here soon. Okay, as he's pushing us back, we're ready to start engine 2. We'll flip that into the ground position there. And we're going to keep an eye on N2. There it goes. Starting to come to life now. Very smooth gauges in this airplane. While that is spooling up, if you want to stop the the pushback anytime you want, you just pull the parking brake and it ends it. Pretty cool stuff. 18, 19, here comes 20, and here comes the fuel. Listen to the sound of these engines come to life. Pull the parking brake. Push complete. Maintaining. N1, we got EGT. There's the fuel flow, looking great. As that comes online, we'll hear a little click. And we'll be ready to start engine 1. There we go, right there. Looks good to me. Let's go ahead and start engine 1. Over to ground. Monitoring it right now. There's N2. Coming to life. This airplane is just so beautiful. I love the sounds of this thing. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 20 there. Oop, all the way. Introduce that fuel into that guy. So we got trim. Everybody's happy there. Panel is set. 5,000, 300 on initial heading. I think it's 301 actually, which is okay. We're going to be going RNAV to Walter anyway. Altimeter is set. We're about to chronometer in a little bit. So once we get these engines on bus, I'm going to show you something really cool about this airplane that I absolutely love. And that is Just how realistic everything is. Okay. EGT is starting to stabilize now. I say we have 2 good starts. How about that? So, one thing that's really cool is when you, in the real airplane, when you pull to the gens in the engines, everything flickers, and you're gonna see it happen here. Watch. Look at that on each side. Is that not amazing or what? Very realistic. So now we have that working. We can turn the packs on. So we're gonna turn the engine bleeds on. APU can come off. We'll turn the left pack on, the right pack on, so people can get their AC back there, and we can too. And fantastic. We can shut down the APU. There it goes. It takes a minute, and there it goes. Lights out. APU is going down. Let's turn that fasten seatbelt sign on. Make sure that's good to go. Yep, that's all good. Circulating fan, all that stuff is happy. Ram door full open. All that is yaw dappers. Good, 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 good. So we're ready to taxi. Let's do it. Okay, taxi out here. We're just gonna release the parking brake, and the airplane starts to roll a little bit there. Taxi light comes on, and listen to the sound of the engines as I spool these suckers up. Listen to this. Does that not sound amazing or what? That sounds really good. All right, as we taxi out, we can set our flaps for 5. That's gonna be 3 notches. So we do the 3 notches. There it is right there. And we're keeping an eye on that guy, watching that start to transition. And we'll put our auto brakes in the RTO position in case of a rejected takeoff today. We're never expecting it, but hey, always expect the unexpected, right? But listen to how good that sounds when you spool them up. I love it. All right, so since we have the FMC all happy, we should be able to arm our LNAV and VNAV. VNAV and LNAV. Well, LNAV doesn't come on yet. So actually, I'm going to turn off VNAV then. We'll go back to what we originally planned. What was it, 156 or 155? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've had troubles with that before. 300, 5,000, remember vertical speed. We'll bring that back up to 2,200, and it's good. So with this airplane, remember how I always talk about, well, with the way I have my views set up, where is the center line for the nose? Pretty easy for me. It's right here on this little guy. You see this little notch? That's the nose. That's exactly where the nose lines up. So that way we know when we're doing this where to go. Let's get this Southwest taxi rolling here. And a short taxi to runway 30 left. Getting close down here, so let's get the airplane ready for takeoff. We'll go ahead and go strobe lights on. Landing lights can come on. That's a rocker switch because they're the old style landing lights where they actually flip down, similar to how the MD-80 does it. And what we'll do is we're going to get on the runway, and we're going to spool them up about 50%, and then we're going to hit N1. We're going to arm the auto throttles now. No, not speed. Not speed. Don't do that to me. I hate when it does that. That's that VNAV that does that, actually. Pull that back a little bit to make sure our speed is back to where it was, 155. Already having some issues right off the bat. Gotta love it. That's all right, though. So we got that working. Yeah, let's turn a wing light on. We'll be a little more visible with that. Landing lights are on, strobe lights on. All that stuff's good. Pull out onto the runway. A little bit of brakes there. Don't mind me. A little more left here. And we're lined up on 30 left. We're ready to go. So we're going to go add that power. There it is. And takeoff power. And we're going to follow the auto throttle with our hand here. And throttles, it'll pop up right there. There it is right there. And takeoff power is set there. 80 knots. Cross check that. Pull back a little bit. There we go. V1. Rotate. There we go. Positive rate. Gear up. Listening to this gear come up, it sounds so awesome. I love the sound of it. Remember, we are RNAV to Walter, so we can go direct to Walter here. Let's get our LNAV. Well, it didn't play the sound of the gear for some reason. I think it tried to automatically put the gear up. I don't know if this plane does that on its own or you have to do it yourself, but I always do it myself. There we go. Lining up on Walter now. We'll get ready to clean up the airplane here in a minute. We'll bring our flaps in and clean up the plane. Let's go ahead and go to VNAV mode as well. And autopilot engaged. Airplane's going to pitch down, try to get that airspeed that it wants. And we're just bringing the flaps in on cue. Auto brakes can go off. Flaps up. And we're continuing that. Now, I'm not doing a replay of the takeoff just because I don't know how stable it is with this airplane. This airplane uses some stuff that's outside of X-Plane to do the things that it can do. And with that said, I don't want to, you know, make it too difficult for it. Just had a little bit of glow up there for our MCP panel. And now we go to Annie. Still cleaning the airplane up. Flaps are up. Looking beautiful. Initial altitude 5,000. We're going to continue. We're going to climb to 15,000. Climb and maintain 15,000. Now, I think the plane's going to try to level off at 5,000 for the initial. We'll see what it does here. But sometimes if that happens, I have to hit level change and then go back to VNAV mode and it works fine. No, it's happy with that. And we are too. Climb out of St. Louis. Oh, chronometer. Damn it. Almost forgot. Climbing over Annie here, almost at 8,000 feet. And I can tell you guys right now, I'm not using the Ultra Weather XP that I was using before. I went back to SkyMax Pro because they had a new version come out. And I figured, oh, what the hey, I'd already paid for it. So it was a free upgrade. I upgraded it. And then I picked up that real weather connector with it as well. So it's supposed to make storm fronts and actual lines of clouds, layers of clouds a lot more realistic. So far, I like it. It's good to have it back. I've had no performance issues with it or anything like that. Let's hope it keeps up to that kind of level. 9,500. Remember, we hit 10,000 feet. We'll clean the airplane up, meaning we'll bring the landing lights up. Actually, we already turned off the taxi light. Forgot about that guy. There's 10,000 feet. We're going to go ahead and click those guys all off. We're going to ding the flight attendants. Let them know we're at 10,000 feet. They can start their stuff. Airplane's now at 10,000 feet. So what it does is it drops the nose because now it can increase its speed to what we expect on the legs page right here. They want to hit NADCA at 298 knots at flight level 20,300. So the airplane brings the nose down to increase the speed, and then it goes back up with its vertical speed once it gains that. And you'll notice that when you fly on board a 7.3 or you know, a real airplane commercially, they do that. So one thing I'm going to do here is pull on a Boeing, you pull the landing gear down into the off position. I wish it made a click. It kind of does there. But I've had issues in the past flights that these red lights come on once in a while. I don't know what that's all about. We can turn the AFDS floodlights off on the top since we got above the clouds, and it's a much nicer view up here now. Climb through 12,000 feet. crossed through 18,000 feet. Let's go ahead and go altimeter 2992 for standard pressure. 4, 3, 2. I wish this was a little more subtle. It's kind of jittery whenever you're changing the barometer, the barometric pressure, and it shouldn't be that jittery. It should have like a nice, you know, if it's a vacuum gauge or whatever, it has a nice like slide to it. But I'm sure they're working on all that stuff. Like I said, you know, the airplane is fantastic as is. Now we're climbing out. We're not expecting weather along the route, but I want to show you something that's amazing about this airplane. Here's the weather radar system. So when we click this guy, that's actually going to physically turn on the weather radar in the radome up there in the nose. And then we can tilt it by going up and down. So when we're on a climb out, obviously we want to tilt down and know what's ahead of us. So to do that, we're going to turn on the weather here. You'll notice it'll click on there and it shows us right there. We have a 0 tilt. And then we can start moving it up. We can move about +2 and all that stuff. So I'm going to bring it down. I want to show you how it works. And it's going to start painting the ground. And that's what you want to do. You paint the ground all the way up until you don't see anything anymore. So we're going to tilt that sucker down to the ground. There it is right there. Starting to paint it. And then we start pulling it back until you get a nice, you know, each sweep. It's a very slow system, but it's very, very, very awesome. You just keep bringing it back until you get a very fine green edge on the out there. So what that does is it lets us know where the precipitation is. And if you have precipitation, right there is perfect. You're more than likely going to have turbulence and all that stuff where that is. So, you know, if you see some red cells and some yellow cells, you'll have to fly around those. You can't fly through them. And that's one thing I love about the X-Plane is it will kill you if you try to fly through a thunderstorm, as it should. As it should. But with that said, we're on our way. You know, we're 22,200 now, climbing for flight level 270. And almost to the top of climb. You see right there, it says that this green arc usually tells you where you're going to end up based off of your altitude and your current vertical speed. So we're actually going to be early on our top of climb, which is great. The FMC says top of climb there, but the airplane says, oh no, I'm going to be at flight level 270 right there. So we'll see how that works out for us. We got a nice 56 knot tailwind pushing us up to Chicago today. So that's going to bring our flight time down to like 35, 40 minutes. All right, climbing to flight level 270 now. We're at our cruising altitude. We'll go ahead and let those folks know that they can move about the cabin here. And we'll also move our auto throttles where they need to go to be with them. There they are right there. Perfect. And we're pretty much good. Here's our turn. And now we're going direct to Indy, which is about 105 miles out. And then after we hit there, it's going to be a quick arrival into Chicago. All right, quick update. We're at flight level 270. You can see we're coming up on our top of descent very soon. We're going to have ourselves descend and maintain 1,000, so 11,000 feet. We're just going to put that in the MCP panel, so it's ready to go. Remember, we want to go let go of it and push up on it. There we go. 11,000 feet is set. That way the airplane will descend on time, and it's probably going to have us put out the speed brake. So it'll say drag required, and we'll have to drag the speed brakes back here to the flight detent to help spoil the air and help the airplane slow down. It's a slippery airplane by default until you start putting some flaps in. So you always have to keep an eye on that. Right now we are a total of 60 miles out from Indy. So the airport itself is, you know, probably about, I don't know, 70 miles out or so, like 60 something miles. Not terribly too much longer to go. I mean, once we start our top of descent, it's just going to be downhill from there. Ceilings in Midway still showing about 250 feet, and it looks like it's going to get better. So it could either go two ways. It could either go worse, so we could have overcast ceilings down to 200 feet, or we could have 6 statute miles of visibility and scattered clouds at 2,500. I'm hoping it's going to be scattered at 2,500. That'd be nice, but if we have to, we'll do what we have to do. So here we go. Top of descent, airplane starts to pull back. Now, let's see if the FMC is going to tell us to add drag or not. If it does, we'll get a little yellow light here, say FMC message, and this will light up too, and it'll say drag required. As of right now, it looks like it's managing it pretty well, but I imagine we're going to need some drag, especially with about 70 knots of a tailwind pushing us down. So that's going to be interesting, but you can see the overcast layer down there. It's what we call the soup, and once we hit that, we're going to be in zero visibility for a while. So let's get ready. Let's be ahead of the game. Let's hit initial ref here. And here's our approach ref. VREF is going to be flaps 30, 142 knots plus 5. So we'll add 5 knots, as it says there, wind correction, flap speed, all that good stuff. We can tell it there. We're going to be 30 at 142. So 30 at 142. That's what we want. It's happy with that. And here's the information. 111.5 for the ILS 4 right approach. So in the nav, we want 111.5. So 111.5. There we go. And 5. Set. Nav radios are set. And course of 046. So on the course, bring it down to 046. And that's pretty much all we have to do with that. Now here I was telling you about the whole red light situation. I'm just going to put the gear up. Maybe it'll turn the lights off. Usually they just come on their own and then they go away. I think it's a bug with the airplane pretty much is what I have determined it to be. But anywho, that is the approach ref. We'll deal with that. So we'll come back to that stuff here in a minute about when we cross through 18,000 our transition altitude. We'll get the local weather one more time and hope for the best. Yeah, we're looking like a pretty damn near a auto land on this landing here. So decision height's going to be about 200 on this. So I mean, we can set it right here. It's already preset to 200. So that'll say minimums. We can look at the the ILS approach, and we can actually look what the actual minimums are, and I'll let you know. But as of right now, continue our descent into Chicago. If we pull out our range, you can see there it is all coming to life here. There's Endy, Stickney, Alki, Boehner, and Cato, and we go into runway 4 like so. There's 18,000 feet. Altimeter is going to be 3010. So let's do that. 3010. Where are you at? Over here, 3010. Nice high pressure system, which is kind of weird that we'd have that kind of high pressure system with those kind of low ceilings. But not sure what I guess the dew point and the temperature are pretty close to each other. So that's creating some issues right there by itself. So they're thinking that the altimeter is going to change down. The lowest it would go is 2918. So we're like right on the edge of that system moving through there. 16,000 feet on our way down to 11,000. In fact, we're going to look at our legs page here, and we're going to be cadent at 4,000. Looks like they want us at 1,000 or 2,400 sit go. That's going to be the final approach fix. So 2,400. So let's go ahead and just put ourselves to 2,400 so the airplane knows what to do and doesn't freak out. There we go, 2,400. And I'm gonna go look at brief myself on the ILS 4 right approach. All right, crossing through 10,000 feet. Landing lights can come on now. Airplane never told us to slow down anymore, so that or needed to drag or anything, so that's kind of nice. Wing light can come back on. And airplane will be starting its turn now towards Stickney there. And I did check it. It looks like the minimums are at 250. I don't know what it's going to be getting in, but it's going to be close. I'm going to move this to 250 just in case. So if we don't break out of the clouds of 250 feet, we should execute a go-around and missed approach procedure. But I'm thinking right now what it's showing right there is that it's going to be exactly 250 scattered, overcast at 200. But right now it's showing overcast at 250. So we are going to shoot the approach and see what happens. This airplane is more than capable. All right, here we go. Drag required. There it is right there. So, okay. They say drag required. We pull it back to the flight detent like so. And we begin our Descent into the soup. Ooh, scary. I saw I made a boo-boo, so I'm going to change that real fast. Nav was not 0.5, it's 5. So 111.5 for the ILS. We're getting close. We're here crossing Stickney now, headed to Alki. And then I have my heading bug set for this. So we'll probably go to heading mode, and then we'll shoot over to the localizer. And then once we have the localizer captured, we'll go to approach setting, and all should be well. So we're doing exactly what they want. We're going to bring the speed brakes back forward. And actually, we can start bringing them back. Here's our speed brake lights. We want them to turn green for armed. Right there. Speed brake is armed. That's what we want for landing. I don't think we're going to need any more than that. We're at 240 knots. If we look at our placard here, we can see flap limits at flaps 1, 230. And pretty much 230 until flaps 5 at 225. And so on and so forth. Gear extension speeds are pretty high, actually, 320. But we're not worried about that. We're just doing our thing as of right now. It looks like we broke through a little bit of a cloud layer here. It may get worse again, though. I'm just going to act like it's not going to be good coming into Midway. But I've got the airport in sight right there on the left. But we might lose it again, depending on, you know, maybe it did change. Maybe we're at broken 4,500 now, and that's fantastic for us. All right, so we're getting closer to that. Bringing up the localizer now, we can start seeing it starting to come alive. Yep, we're at 6,000 feet. We should start our descent to Boehner. I think we hit Boehner at 5,000. VREF, we're going to get that going here in a minute. We'll actually go off of VNAV mode once we get to 2,400 feet. And we'll then dial our speed back to our VREF, which is going to be 142 plus 5, so 147. So we'll put 147 in there. And all will be well. This is going to be an interesting landing. One thing with Southwest is they don't use auto brakes. They do manual braking. So we're definitely going to need to do manual braking, especially here at Midway. This is going to be interesting. I've never flown into this airport. It's Payware airport scenery by Nimbus Simulations. And there we go. That's looking pretty happy. Let's go ahead and go with our heading bug selected about right there. And we're going to heading select mode here. And we're going to arm the localizer. So we're going to hit Vorlock and arm the localizer. So once that localizer starts moving, we'll follow it over. We've got the airport in sight there on our left. It's looking like it's going to be fine unless it just pops terrible weather at us at the last minute, which I'm hoping it's not going to do. We'll be all right. So we should be intercepting it now. There it goes. You see it moving there. And the airplane should start its turn to the left. Let's hope it does that. There's localizers alive. And we'll wait for this to come down. And once we hit sit go, our final approach fix, it's pretty much where we'll drop the gear and all that good stuff. So we're going to act as of right now that we will not be able to see the runway. Even though we can, clearly. So we did get out of the soup. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not going to lie. All right. That's armed. We can start slowing this puppy down, too. Airplane's already starting to slow itself down a little bit. As we get closer to 2,400, you can see there, it's a glide slope. We want to intercept that glide slope. Once we intercept it, we'll go gear down and we'll get the flaps in there and all that stuff. I really want the plane to slow down to 230. Let's go ahead and pull the speed brakes out because it's not listening to us here. There we go. But we're on the glide path. That's all that matters. Airplane's slowing down. Once we get to 230 here, we're going to drop to flaps 5 and we'll bring our speed brakes back forward. So there's 230 there. We'll go flaps 1. I mean, not 5, but 1. So flaps and running to help this airplane slow down. There we go. Let's let the flight attendants know we're going to be landing. Okay, that's not going to make a noise, but whatever. Drag required. We got drag out. Don't worry about that, buddy. Pulling back a little bit more. There we go. Looking good. We're below the glide slope. Let's go ahead and drop the gear. Gear down. We're going to be doing manual braking here. This is going to be interesting. to say the very least. This is a short runway. It's just more about just getting the plane in. Oh, please. Looks like the overcast is coming back to us. I hope it doesn't, but you never know. Okay, flaps 5. Once we get to 2,400, we can change over our speed here. 2,500 herd. Right there. And we've got taxi light on. Landing lights are all, yep, they're all on. Runway in sight, we're landing 4 right. If the weather cooperates with us, right? Coming down to 180 on our speed. Almost to 2,400. We're getting so close to it. And we'll go to 147 here in a second. So we'll click on speed mode and go to 147. Hopefully it'll do it. Let's go flaps 15 now. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to do it myself manually. Let's get those auto throttles back where they need to go. Autopilot off. I have the airplane. Let's get that, look at these speed brakes back to the arm position here. There we go. Don't want to panic. We were a little high. We'll bring that nose back down. Wow. All right. There we go. Flaps are coming down now. Nice. Get back on that glide slope. Plane wants to climb on us there. There we go. Flaps 25. I'm using that trim wheel. We are really high on this approach. We need to bring that nose down. So much stuff to happen at the very last minute. That's the worst part about this. All right, flaps 30. Let's get this baby slowed. We're getting back on the glide slope. I'm not worried about the actual this so much right now. There's our VREF. Add that power back in. I'm not worried about the ILS glide slope so much because we have a visual approach of the runway now, and we're using the PAPI lights. Boy, those power lines are a little annoying, aren't they? 1,000 herd there. We're gonna keep an eye on the glide slope here now. Add that power back in since, like I said, you know, once the airplane gets dirty, meaning the flaps are down, it wants to slow down a lot. And we want to be right at VREF, so we don't want to be too crazy. You don't want to mess up here at Midway, that's for sure. Because you don't have a whole hell of a lot of runway to mess around with. We just want to plant this baby down on the ground. There we go. Bring that nose forward. Hello, wind. Good to see you again. So winds are 025 at 7. 500. Make sure, yep, gears down, 3 green. Flaps are set for landing. 400. Watch our speed here. There we go. Bring that nose back up. Such a neat airport to fly into. Minimums. There's the minimums. We're plenty fine there. Coming right over, screaming right over the roads here at Midway. Don't worry about the glide slope. 30. Bring that nose up. And we're down. Woohoo! Woo doggies. Reversers are out. And manual braking. Whoa, hello. Wow, that is really squirrely. The brakes are not very good. Not gonna lie. Not happy with those. We should have used auto brakes. 60 knots. Reversers are cleared. Manual braking still. You can see how short of a runway that is. We had to get on the brakes big time there. Whoo-wee. Welcome to Midway. That was a lot of fun. A lot of shaking, rattling, and rolling coming into this airport. Yeah, they really need to work on that, the twitchiness, especially under braking. That's just a problem in X-Plane by itself. Let's not kill everybody and give people cancer. Let's go ahead and turn our weather radar off, and we'll taxi to the ramp. right, speed brakes come forward all the way. There we go. We can go ahead and clean up the airplane. We're just gonna go right into this gate right here. Bring our flaps up. Don't want to mess around too much on the ground. I've had problems with X-plane crashing on me after using the replay system, so I don't want to mess around if we don't have to, right? And we'll taxi in right here. Not too much to worry about there. We'll turn our landing lights off. And we see them in sight, so we're going to go ahead and bring the taxi light off. And we'll taxi right in here. Okay, let's go park and brake. Let's get the APU on. I forgot to get that APU fired up. Let's go ahead and do that now. APU coming online. And we could actually try to get ground power. I don't think we can get ground power just yet. We could try, though. Ground power unit. Oh, we do have GPU. Let's use that instead. So that, at least then we can shut down. Ground power available. There we go. We're on ground power, and we can shut down the engines. That's usually how Southwest does it anyway. They use GPU cards. They don't use the APU too much. They use the air units, and they use that. So we can go here to, get the open again ground services. We'll do the air supply as well. And now we can move that over to the external air, as we'll still have this going on. So engine bleeds come off. Turn that guy on. And people still have air. So not bad at all. We'll turn the anti-collision light off, our beacon off. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chicago. Very interesting approach in landing. I love Midway. Midway is a lot of fun to come into. You got to be on your game. The only gripes I have about this plane for the most part, oh, I love this when you turn this on. There we go. Is just the fact that, you know, you get the real twitchiness of the steering. I really wish they would fix that, especially under braking. Because Southwest doesn't use the auto brakes that much. We could have done auto brakes 3. We'll probably do that, you know, next time we fly and all that. But anywho, guys, I hope you enjoyed the flight. I had a great time. I hope you did as well. The IXEG 737, is it worth $75 to you? I don't know. Total flight time in today was about 35 minutes, as I thought it would be. 5 minutes for taxi in. Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this airplane. Let me know if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys all next time. Take care.